Welcome to the Matt Reiser Radio Show on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. Now, live from Buddy's Bar and Grill in Hammond, here's Alan Waddell.
Since the last time we were together, your Southeastern Lion baseball team had another successful week. Overall, our Lions played 4 contests and won 3 of them, including a series win against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. The Lions have won all of their conference weekend series so far this year, moving our record to 24-11 overall and 11-4 in the Southland Conference at the midway point of the conference season. This week, our Southeastern Lions are back in action with a big 5-game week, but only one home game, and that's tomorrow night against Jackson State. Then on Wednesday, the Lions will make their annual trip to Lafayette to take on the Cajuns, and then head north to Natchitoches for a 3-game set with Northwestern State over the weekend. Good evening, Lion fans. I'm Alan Waddell, and I want to welcome you to the Matt Reiser Radio Show presented by North Oaks Health System, live from our home, Buddy's Bar and Grill, right here in Hammond. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you may be tonight, whether on the Lions Radio Network or watching the archive on Facebook. We'll be with you until 8 o'clock tonight. Over the next hour, we'll get Coach Reiser's thoughts on this past week and look ahead to this week's slate of games. But first, let's take a break, and when we come back, I'll be joined by the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Matt Reiser. The Matt Reiser Radio Show is presented by North Oaks Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
America's pastime. 12 players drafted in the Reiser era. 2 Southland Conference championships. Back-to-back at-large regionals. Coming off a strong finish in 2017, another intense season is on the horizon, featuring a gauntlet of non-conference home games. New season, same goal. Don't miss out on any of the action.
What does it mean to be Southland strong?
It's not just big wins.
It's success in the classroom
and being engaged with service,
family,
passion,
integrity,
overcoming adversity,
hard work and dedication,
bettering people around you,
striving for excellence,
leadership and competition
on our campuses
and in our communities.
We are Southland Strong.
All right, welcome back here to Buddy's Bar and Grill. Just getting started here tonight. It's the Matt Reiser Radio Show. We'll be with you till 8 o'clock talking Lion baseball. Lions 24-11 overall, 11-4 in the Southland Conference. 35 games into the season, so do the math there. 21 big ones left. A lot of baseball to play here, the reigning season for 2018. At this time, we're going to welcome to the show the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Coach Matt Reiser. Coach, thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.
Since the last time We visited. Your team went 3-1, got a victory in the midweek, and then took a conference series against Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Yeah, good week for the good guys, man. I was proud of the guys. I thought we did a good job. We talked about trying to get to the Easter break. You know, we played so many days there in the month of March. I think we figured out it was 22 of the 31 days, and we were beaten and battered a little bit, but it was nice to kind of get a little break. The first non-5 game week or shortened week for us. So I got to spend a little time there with the family on Sunday, and then obviously Monday, you know, we had the day off and got back to work with Alcorn. You know, we got a good start out of Mason Canop again. It was a shortened outing. We had a few guys that we didn't use the weekend before against McNeese, and really need to get on the mound because of you know, it's one of those deals you don't want to. You want to do more than just throw bullpens. You want to get them actually in action and face some hitters. So Mason went 4 innings for us in the predetermined start, and we brought out 5 relievers, each with in and clean inning apiece to work on some things and work through some things. And we put up 3-run innings there against Alcorn and gave some guys some rests, some guys some opportunities. K. Popoli got his first start against Alcorn. I thought he played well there at second base for us to give Cody the night off and get rested for the weekend against Corpus. I thought which was huge because Cody was obviously good for us, really good for us again this weekend, and just looked healthier this weekend running around. So, and I thought some guys got some opportunities there and did a good job there on Tuesday with a good win. So overall, good week. You know, 2 out of 3 on the weekend. Obviously, yesterday got away from us a little bit there at the very end, but man, just proud of the guys. They competed, and that was a club. That Corpus club is a good team, man. We saw 93-97 there on Saturday, and the 3 starters, all 3 were right-handers, were in the low 90s, run their fastball and pitched well. And you know, that was a team that was fighting for survival yesterday. They had lost 7 in a row coming into that point and had played really good baseball before that. So one of those that got away yesterday at the very end of it, but obviously overall I was pretty proud of the guys for the week.
Lions, again, 24-11 overall, 11-4 in the Southland Conference at this point of the season. And, Matt, we documented a lot last week that you had played the most games in the entire country after last week, is because you played a lot of those 5-game weeks. Had to be a little different this week with only 4 games, which is still a lot. I mean, you're going to have some weeks later on in the year where you just play on the weekend, no midweek games. But with the 4 games this week, you actually had to have a practice. Yeah. I mean, nice to get out there and have a practice, huh?
It really was. It was nice to actually go over some things that hadn't been gone over and touched base on in a while, and try to use a little bit of that this past weekend as well, because and again, you know, I've got freshmen that I've got that are getting there and getting some experience, and it's not even the JC guys who've been in there a good bit, have been starting every day. There's some small things, some different plays that we like to run that need to be reiterated, and we screwed that up on Tuesday night, so we got back to work on Wednesday and Thursday and worked on some of those things that hadn't come up really in ball games that I think we're going to use later down in the season to help us offensively and help us defensively as well.
Matt, kind of I always try to look at the games and maybe come up with a couple of themes for the week, and I thought a couple of things that stood out was a come-from-behind win on Saturday, nice way to come from behind late in the ball game and then kind of walk that thing off there in extra innings, and then also Taylor Schwanner got into a couple of balls this week and hit a couple of home runs. Nice to see that. I know his numbers haven't been as good as they were a year ago. They're going to be hard to be as good as they were a year ago, but nice to see. I know he got tweaked, had a little injury there late on Saturday in that game and didn't play Sunday, but nice to see him get going with a couple of home runs. And then, again, a come-from-behind win, always nice. Whenever you can do that, come from behind the late innings. Yeah,
you know, I thought it was big for us. Or actually, I think I looked at Southland stats today. We're 3-0 in 1-run games and 3-0 in 2-run games in the conference. That's 6 games, 6 wins there, the 11 that have been by 2 runs or less. So I thought it was a good job of our guys just doing this week offensively especially. It was kind of a different week. You know, we actually scored some runs this week. We scored 7 yesterday. We only scored 4 there on Saturday against some good arms, but you know, Friday night we jumped on Corpus and scored 10. We scored 9 against Alcorn, but it was a week that we didn't have a whole lot of hits. When we talk about this in game strategy, Coach Latham does such a really good job of believing in throwing strikes. We believe in strikes as a staff. And, hey, man, we're going to make you beat us. We're going to call pitches to contact, and we're going to make sure that you have to hit the baseball in order to do that. We had teams this week with Alcorn and Corpus that try to pitch around the hit. They try to nibble at the zone. I thought our hitters did a really good job this week of knowing what the zone was, battling with some 2 strikes when these guys were nibbling, and then taking those walks. And then both of those clubs kind of pitched around contact. And And, even Sunday, it came out, it was funny because we had discussed it, and obviously that's what beat Corpus on Saturday with the extra inning game. They walked 3 guys and hit a guy. So Sunday, they kind of had this mission, hey, man, we're going to come out, we're going to throw strikes, we're going to make them beat us, and we go whack, 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 3 hits. Okay, then it went back to pitching away from from contact again, and I think we walked another 9 times or 10 times there on Sunday as well. But it was kind of a different offensive approach that we've had as far as scoring runs. Hey, get a few guys on, but we got them on with the HBPs and the walks, and we did a much better job of some big knocks. We finally got some knocks for the guys in the scoring position. We hit a few homers, obviously, with some guys on base, which was good for us and good to see as well. So, offensively, I thought we did a much better job with our zone awareness, so to speak.
Matt, you're still playing with the lineup a little bit. I mean, even though we're over halfway through here, I know you've really – the 2-hole has been kind of a little bit of an enigma for you. You've tried a lot of different guys there. I know this week we saw Bryce Steckler in there. We even saw on Sunday you slid Drew Avens up to the 2-hole. Yep. For majority of the year, it was Brennan Bro leading off, and then Cody Gross hitting in the 2-hole. Still trying to kind of find that combination there at the top. Yeah,
I don't think you're ever done trying to find the right fit because guys go through different streaks, and if the guy is going right, then you like that guy in that position. If he's not, you want to get him out and get him further down and get the guy who's hot with more at-bats up there. So I think that's always going to be, vulnerable. It's going to kind of manipulate it a little bit throughout the entire season, but it's more of those slots and those spots. I think what we have found is Trey Harrington's going to stick at third base there with Josh Green on the bump. He's done a really good job, even though Friday night didn't have the offensive night that he wanted. Made a huge play down the line, and kind of in a big moment. We were up, I think, 3-1 maybe at the time, 2 outs. He'd scored 1 to kind of get back in a little bit. Guy rips 1 down the line. Trey Harrington lays out, throws across the diamond with his 90-plus arm, and throws a guy out at first base. He doesn't make that play. It's a 3-2 ball game. Momentum's back on Corpus, and we saw how that worked for us on Saturday when they got momentum with 2 outs. I think they scored all 3 runs there with 2 outs in that 4th inning or 5th inning off of Carlisle. And saw it again yesterday with 2 outs and the big knock. So they're a momentum team that really runs that way. Trey Harrington's no doubt going to be there at third base with Josh Green and those balls going that way. Then Trey had to step in there on Sunday with Schwarner being out and actually had a few good at-bats, had a big knock. I remember 2-out RBI with knocking in Brennan Bro as well. So some of that has got a little bit more solidified. I think that outfield we're still playing with a little bit. I think we've got more of a defensive lineup and we've got more of an offensive lineup when the guys are going right. But for the most part, things are starting to solidify exactly who's what and what position. It's nice to see Trey Harrington kind of step up and take that position there at third base in those moments when we need defense.
Matt, for our listeners who maybe aren't as educated on what you're talking about, Josh Green, a sinker baller, gets a lot of ground balls. Yep. That's why you're saying that on the defensive side. Yeah,
when you go look at sprays and you go look at tendencies, there's all kind of marks on the left side of the infield. I mean, the ground ball ratio on that side. And if you look at Josh's numbers, people might look at the numbers and go, hey, man, he's pitched a lot of innings. Man, he really ain't got a whole lot of strikeouts. We're not pitching for strikeouts. We're not pitching away from contact. We're trying to keep his pitch count down, and that's why he's going deeper in ball games for us, especially with being a reliever last year into the starting role this year. Yeah, you look up, and the innings might be up, but maybe he's throwing, decent similar amount of pitches. He's not throwing 100 pitches in 5 innings. He's throwing more 60 pitches in 5 innings. So it's allowing us to kind of save the bullets a little bit more, and that's where we're trying to call to. Hey, man, we'll move the defense over. We'll put Brennan Bro in the 6-hole because that's where a lot of these balls are going to go, these right-handers and the sinker ball stuff. And if the left-handers stay on it, they'll go that way. So a lot of this is, Major League Baseball is so big in analytics. Seeing the Houston Astros go with 4 outfielders sometimes, which I think is a little ridiculous. But, they're doing the big major shifts into the holes because the percentages and numbers say so to go that way. That's kind of what we're doing here with Trey Harrington. A lot of those ground balls are going that left side of the infield and causing a lot of havoc over there from that standpoint in the 6-hole and down the line. So I think Trey's done a really good job of filling in that moment with Josh Green on the bump.
Lions went 3-1 this week. They moved their overall record to 24-11, 11-4 in the Southland Conference. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we're going to have more from Matt Roser right here on the Matt Roser Radio Show, presented by North Oaks Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. Stay with us.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student athlete.
Radio show. Thank you so much for joining us here back from Buddy's Bar and Grill. As we have about 20 minutes to go. We've been on the air about 20 minutes. We'll be here till 8 o'clock tonight. This broadcast will also be archived on Facebook and also on YouTube. So that's something I haven't been saying every week, but there is a YouTube page as well for Southeastern Athletics. Mr. Colton Vickers obviously puts up this show, but he also puts up highlights from the week. So check us out on YouTube. Go on there, and you can catch up on Lion Athletics and see some of those highlights. As Matt, we're going to talk a little bit more about this week you had this past week. You're 3-1 on the week. You win your first three. You drop a hard one there on Sunday. It opened up with a win against Alcorn. It was Autism Awareness Night. They did light the Pat Up Blue that night. I know there was a big crowd on hand against Alcorn. And you mentioned that you had a couple of guys that have been nicked up, and it was great to get some other guys in the lineup. And you had a predetermined start with Mason Knopp, and really went about as well as it could go. You have a couple of big innings there. You get out to a good lead, but you win 9-1. Overall, a solid performance on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I thought it was a good performance. Like you said, we kind of got off on the right foot there early. We scored the 3 runs in the in the second inning with a couple homers. Schwarner being one of them, and then I think Bryce Stickler got into one there as well. Both those guys. It's good to see them use that power, because both of them have premium power. I think that both of them can be in that double-digit range when things are going well, when they're consistently hitting the baseball like they're supposed to. And then Mason Knopp was really good. I mean, he had one blemish there. He hung an 0-2 breaker to the 9-hole, and the guy tomahawked it out of the ballpark. And it was a night the wind was blowing out pretty hard, especially early. So it was one that you had to keep the ball down early in the ball game. But I thought Mason did a good job just filling the zone up. He's predominantly a fly ball pitcher. Probably not your ideal matchup in those situations as far as throwing a fly ball pitcher with the wind blowing out at 15, 20 miles an hour. But I thought he did a good job of using it to his advantage. I think some of those hitters try to get a little bit longer, trying to lift the baseball. And obviously, I think he was rewarded with 6 strikeouts from that end of it. So, yeah, like you said, it was good to get out there, because able to get some guys that I wanted to start, because they didn't want a completely new lineup. I didn't want the guys taking a different approach to it. Like, oh, coach, we're playing Alcorn. It's tonight we can take off. We saw what happens when you do that with guys like Jackson State. Then you end up getting your behind beat. So I didn't want it to make too many changes. But honestly, once we got that lead, I did want to get some guys in. I was able to get Kyle Schimpf out of there, who was nursing a hamstring as well. I was able to get Steckler out of there, who was still nursing that back a little bit. So it was good to see those guys get off on the right foot for the week, and then also get ready there for Corpus for the weekend.
Matt, one thing your team just continues to do, seems like every night, Damon was making some hand gestures over there, giving us some numbers, but you walk. Yeah. You guys do a really good job of battling out of bats. You had 10 walks against Alcorn. I think on Saturday you walked 11 times. On Sunday you walked 9 times, got hit by a pitch. So you're continuing to add pressure and put pressure. And I guess talk about the philosophy behind that for maybe our listeners that come to the games that don't even realize that's going on. But what's the fine line between being aggressive but then taking pitches to be able to work those walks?
When you face a guy like Aaron Hernandez, like we did on Saturday, you're talking about a young man who's probably going to the top 5 rounds of the draft this year, was 93 to 97. And velocity is one thing, but he was locating it. He was getting away with a lot of fastballs up that looked like good pitches to hit. There were actually balls that's got a little life to it, so he was getting swing and misses up there. He was hitting on the breaking ball, and we started adjusting that and started throwing it for strikes, and then changeup was for strikes. And so when you got a guy like that, you're not just going to go dominate his stuff, And I thought we did a good job of taking the fastball away early. And then he had to start trying to pitch with the off-speed, and predominantly for most pitchers, unless you're a specialty guy, you've got a lot more command of your fastball than you do your off-speed pitches. So when he started having to go to that slider, and we did a good job of getting an approach and seeing it up and knowing what we were trying to do with it, because it did have some good late break to it, we were able to disengage from it. And it's kind of, you take what they give you. If you can have a good at-bat and walk and get the next guy up, then hopefully the next guy up has a good at-bat for you behind that. And like you said, I thought we just did a good job of that, stringing those together. And I think the big knock for us there on Friday, we're up 5-1. Going back, just kind of in my archive in my head, we're up 5-1. I sacked some guys up there on Friday to get Drew Ravens, our hottest hitter, our best hitter we've had to date up. And he goes up there and just has a bad at bat. We'll call it what it is. Three pitches. Yep, 3 pitches, goes up there. takes another, swings a strike 3 out of the zone, and so now we got 2 outs, runners at second, third, and Schimpf up. But what does Schimpf do? He does a great job of going up there and picking his teammate up. Hey, man, I know your job was to get that guy in third base with less than 2 strikes. It didn't happen. Hey, man, I got you. No big deal. And gets a big 2-out RBI there to make it 7-1. That's a big momentum changer, especially in that moment. I think that really kind of, obviously expanded our lead there in that moment, but it's the momentum that stays on our side in the middle of the innings. And this is where I think we've done a really good job that got away from us yesterday, to be honest with you. The 4th, 5th, and 6th inning. We try to split the game into 3 3-inning games. You get the first 3, where the energy's obviously through the roof for both teams, and then guys are trying to either feel their way out or trying to match the energy. You get the middle 3, which, for the most part, to be honest with you, is kind of the lull moment. People forget about the middle innings and the one run that you're going to try to score in the 8th or 9th inning, right, in late ball game. Hey, man, it's late in the game. It's a tight game. We got to do this. We got to be more focused. That's the end of it. But the middle innings, I think, is the one that we've done a really, really good job with all year long. And that was the middle innings that we did that with Schimpf on Friday. We've done a good job of that all year long, and I think that's been a big part of our wins. Obviously, that got us there on Sunday because they did a good job of putting up the 5 spot there, and then obviously continue to extend the middle innings on us as well.
I don't think the casual fan realizes how important free passes are in the game. You look up, there's been several times this year, Matt, where you look at our scores, and you look up there and it's the 7th inning, and we have 8 runs and 5 hits.
Yep.
And the other team might have 10 hits and 1 run or 2 runs, because you're not handing the free passes out, but you're being able to get them and capitalize them on the offensive side. Right.
And another thing you're doing when you're doing this, so back to Hernandez a little bit, like we were talking about on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll kind of spill into Saturday's game. A really good game. Lions win 4-3. And you gave this guy a lot of publicity going in last week. I mean, this is a guy who has big-time Major League stuff.
Yep.
I think he was he up to 98 on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so. I think he touched it one time. He was sitting mostly 95 for the most part, but he was in that 93 to 96, 97 range. But when you face a guy like that, you got to pitch count these guys. So you got to take your walks. You got to be a little bit more selective than what you're going to swing at, because the guy's got really good stuff in and out the zone. So you can get in the bullpen. So because they're not going to run 5 dudes at you like that. There's some point in time you can run to a guy that's going to be a little bit less than that. And obviously we were able to do that there on Saturday as well. So when you face these guys, when we talk about starters and what I think we've done another really good job of on every Friday night. You got a pitch count there on Hernandez, by the way?
Yeah, I can pull it right there. It is 118.
118 pitches in 6 2/3. I mean, that's a lot of pitches. So we got to get that guy out of the game. There's no way that guy can go 9 innings. If we can get in the bullpen, we feel like we can have a lot of success. The reason that guy is who he is because he can go deep in ball games. And what we've done a good job on Friday nights with some starters. The guy last week with McNeese was their best, was their ace. We got him out in the 4th inning. He was at 90 pitches already in the 4th inning. This week, their Friday night guy, Lacaz, we got him out in the 4th inning. So we're digging. We're getting to the lesser arms, so to speak, maybe, or the shorter arms. Hey, man, yeah, maybe he's really good, but maybe only for 1 inning. He's not going to be the longevity part of it. So they got to roll more guys out. And the more you dig in that bullpen, I think the often more success you have as the weekend goes along as well. So that's part of it. Again, it's all about game planning. It depends on what their game plan was. Their game plan obviously was to try to strike guys out. There Saturday, I'm seeing, looking at the numbers, had 11 walks. They also had 10 punch-outs. That's what they were trying to do. Well, there's a lot of pitchers involved in 11 walks and 10 strikeouts. There's 21 guys there that you're going, at least, to 4 3-ball counts with. So, and probably on average 5 to 6 pitches a pop. So I thought we did a really good job of that this week, and hopefully we'll continue to do that this week as well.
And on the other hand, Carlisle Kessler goes 6 innings. He only throws 75 pitches. So it shows how much economical our pitching has been. And I want you to talk about these couple of guys that came in the bullpen on Saturday, pitched 4 outstanding innings, 2 for Trey Schaefer, 2 for Jared Biddy. He picks up the win in this one, gives you an opportunity there to come back because you were trailing in the game, gave you an opportunity to tie the game, send it to extra innings, and then win it in extra innings.
Yeah, those 2 guys have been really good for us, and it was good to see Schaefer back to form, and he's had some big moments for us throughout the year. And in all honesty, we were actually contemplating on sending Schaefer back out, but I think Jared Biddy just pretty much emerged as this late inning guy, late in the ball game. Hey, man, game's on the line, tied, down by 1 maybe, up by one, obviously, as a closer, whatever you want to call it. Hey, that's the guy who we're really, really comfortable late in ball games, coming in with his energy and his attitude, and did a fantastic job of keeping the game where it was so that we could do what we did there in the bottom of the 10th and get that walk-off win. I think that was huge for us. And then, obviously, the big swing there by Kyle Schimpf, man, that's the one that's been kind of heating up a little bit. He's got the ability to hit for a premium level. I mean, we're talking about average, we're talking about power, we're talking about RBIs. He's leading the conference right now in RBIs. He's a guy who's done a really good job of starting to mature and be more consistent because of who he is as an individual on a day-to-day basis. He's not starting to grow up a little bit, I guess, is the best thing I'm trying to say. And if he can continue to do that, you can continue to see some big things there from Kyle Schimpf.
Yeah, just as a spectator, there's certain guys you watch that the ball just sounds a little different when it comes off his bat, and he's one of those guys. I mean, when he hits it, I mean, he has big boy
He's
power.
Got big boy juice. I think the people ducked there, the Dugas on Saturday when he hit that ball.
Yeah, certainly so. And Matt, let's go to Sunday. And the way Sunday started, I didn't have a chance to get there till. Well, first of all, let's talk about this. The weather drastically changed on Saturday afternoon, about midway through the game, because I actually went to work that day and was wearing shorts, and then showed up for the game and was freezing and had to leave.
Cold.
So it got actually really cold there on Saturday, and then Sunday it kind of spilled in that. So some probably our coolest games of the year have been here late in early April, not earlier in February and March like we played earlier this year. But Sunday, the way the game started, checking the score before I had a chance to get there, I said, man, we're going to run these guys out the building. The way the game started, unfortunately, they were able to get it going offensively there, though, in the middle innings as well.
Yeah, it was one of those days, man. Like you said, we got off to a really good start.
I mean, their pitcher, their starter went a third of an inning.
He did. Yeah, and this is where you got to tip your hat to these guys because the guy that started had started at third base both days, Jackson Owens. He's in the leadoff spot. He's one of their best hitters. It had been okay throughout the weekend, swinging the bat. Came out there in that start, went a third of an inning. But that young man ended up going back in that lineup and saying, hey, man, you know what? I didn't have him on the mound today, but I'm going to find a way to help my club offensively. I think he ended up going 3 for 6 on a day with 3 RBIs and really gave us a knockout punch there in the 9th inning when he had the bases clear and double.
Yeah.
That was a resilient group, and that's where I said it in my pregame yesterday beforehand with Damon and talked about this Corpus club. It's a pretty good club. I'm going to be honest with you. Just looking through 1 through 9 and looking at the guys they have in position, player for player, and obviously matching up their starters and look at their bullpen, the guys they got coming out of there. They've got guys who've started on weekend for them for a couple of years now that are throwing out the bullpen. That's kind of where they've gone to and how they've evolved as a club. So, and you're talking about a club that really got off to a really hot start. They swept that Whataburger weekend, that tournament they host every year where they had Mississippi State, and I think maybe Senator Barber, who was in the World Series a few years ago down there. So you're talking about a good club that's just kind of in a funk, and it was one of those deals. It's a veteran club that had their back against the wall. There's no way we can get swept 2 weekends in a row and lose 8 in a row. They were resilient, and I thought our guys did a good job of showing the same thing. To be honest with you, it was kind of a counter there for a little while, but that club was just one pitch better than us this past weekend. We got to the 8th inning. Got the tying run in scoring position. Yeah. Mike has a really nice at bat to load the bags up. So we got the go-ahead run at first base. Wash gets in there and absolutely whacks the first pitch, and it's just right at the center fielder.
Yep.
It's one of those things you call baseball. Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, and it's part of it. They did a really good job. Instead of allowing us in the 9th inning to come back and feel good about ourselves, they load the bags up. They hit the 3-run double there to kind of put the nail in the coffin for us and salvage the game there in the series.
Lions drop it on Sunday, but they win the series 2 out of 3. They wins the first 2 games Friday and Saturday. Matt, I do want to get you to comment on Schwarner's injury. I know Saturday he had a little kind of a scary moment there. He tried to get out of the way of a ball, and I don't know if his cleat got stuck in the turf or what, but it was kind of in football you call it like that non-contact injury.
Right,
he just kind of went down, looked to be a leg injury. Talk about his status, where he's at after the weekend.
Yeah.
He didn't play on Sunday.
Yeah, didn't play on Sunday. This was Saturday in the 10th inning. And this, again, kind of goes back to some of the things we're talking about with some guys having to step up. It's going to be a strike call, but Taylor's knee kind of gets stuck in the turf with the cleat and everything else. He was trying to roll, thinking the ball was going to hit him in the back. Ball ended up breaking back over the plate for a strike, but his knee popped. It's a sprained MCL. Obviously Sunday we went out there and we tested a little bit. Still felt pretty tender on it. Still was pretty sore. Doc looked at today at 4 o'clock and gave him the all clear as far as, hey, man, you're not going to do anything else. It's just a matter of the strengthening back of it. And,
That's good news.
Do some stuff. So maybe tomorrow night, maybe Wednesday night. I think for sure by this weekend he's good to go. But, going back to all my guys stepping in, it's one of those deals when they're trying to get the momentum going, and this may seem insignificant at the time, but Schwarner goes down there in the extra inning ball game, right? You got to bring K-Pop Pole, who's sitting on the bench, who has no intention of hitting right now for Taylor Schwarner. Usually I get to prep these guys a couple of hitters ahead of time. Hey, man, go ahead and get loose with the bat. With the injury, obviously K's got to come off the bench and finish out an AB. Him just putting a ball in play there instead of going up and striking out was actually huge for us. Yep. Hey, man, we got fight. I got grit. I can come off the bench and find a way just to make you make a play. And what seemed like a routine ground out was, hey, man, we're not going to give you any momentum. We're not going to give you the feel good about yourself. So, therefore, what do? We end up getting a few walks. We've been able to battle a few pitches off. We don't let the pitcher feel comfortable about what he's doing. And then all of a sudden we walk it off there in the bottom of the 10th inning. So, we're just really proud of those guys, the way they competed, I think, all week. Obviously it didn't go our way yesterday, but I thought all week they did a really good job of it. But should see Taylor Schwarner hopefully back maybe tomorrow, more than likely Wednesday, no doubt by Friday.
All right, let's go ahead and get to a break. We come back. We have a lot more for you. We're just a little bit over halfway home here on the Matt Riser Radio Show, presented by North Oaks Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
America's pastime. 12 players drafted in the Riser era. 2 Southland Conference championships. Back-to-back at-large regionals. Coming off a strong finish in 2017, another intense season is on the horizon, featuring a gauntlet of non-conference home games. New season, same goal. Don't miss out on any of the action.
What does it mean to be Southland strong?
It's not just big wins.
It's success in the classroom.
And being engaged with service.
Family.
Passion.
Integrity.
Overcoming adversity.
Hard work and dedication.
Bettering people around you.
Striving for excellence.
Leadership and competition.
On our campuses.
And in our communities.
We are Southland strong.
Waddell, this is the Matt Riser Radio Show as we're talking Lion baseball all the way until 8 o'clock tonight. Lions 24-11 overall, 11-4 in the Southland Conference. Just wrapped up a 3-1 week. Knocked off Alcorn State in the midweek and then took 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M Corpus Christi at the Pat. Another busy schedule this week. 5 games in total, only 1 home game. Tomorrow night, the Lions will take on Jackson State in a 6 o'clock first pitch, and then it's all on the road Wednesday night at UL Lafayette, and then on the weekend, they'll take the trip up to North Louisiana and take on Northwestern State, the Demons, up there in Natchitoches. But, Matt, first of all, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock first pitch. I think you owe these guys one. You get another shot at Jackson State. Kind of let one get away from you a couple of weeks ago up there in Jackson.
No doubt about it. It's funny. Actually, I got a phone call from Houston who wanted me to cancel this game and play them in a 3-game set. And one for me, I don't think that's right. I mean, I think if you schedule a game, you got to play the game. But of course, he's trying to finagle the RPI for himself, and hey, man, it's gonna be good for you too. If you do that with the RPI, then it's going to play big dividends for us. And it's one of those things. Hey, yeah, one, I don't think it's right to do it. It's unethical to do it. But two, I thought, in all honesty, I want revenge in this one. We went up there to their place and lost had a 3-2 ball game that we had won, and got beat in a tough way. Just a night that one of those you want to forget about until it's time to come back around to it. And now I want to remember the same because it made me a little bitter, made me a little sour. That was one of our rougher weeks that week because we got beat both games there, South Al and Jackson State. I think we went 2-3 in that week, and it might be the only week that we've gone below 500 in a week. I think we went 2-2 one of the other weeks. But so this is one we want to get back up there and go take care of business. And especially after yesterday, with losing yesterday's ball game, the sooner we get back out there, the better it's going to be for us just to go back out there and have a chance to compete. So we'll run Mason Knopp out there. He won't be on any type of pitch count tomorrow, I can promise you that. If the young man can go 9, then give us 9 good innings of baseball. If he can only give us 3, then give us 3 good innings of baseball. But we're looking for him to go deep in the ball game. I think it's one of those games tomorrow, especially what we used out of the bullpen this past weekend, 5-game week at ULL the next following day. It's going to be a game where Mason has to go at least 5, but we'd really like him to go and realistically, probably 7 innings if he can.
Yeah, especially with a 5-game week. I mean, you got a lot of games on the schedule this week. You're going to turn around on Wednesday night. You'll go over there and take on Lafayette. In Lafayette, this is a game you won earlier this year at home. This team has been a little bit up and down. They seem to have figured out here a little bit more recently. They've knocked off LSU a couple of times this year, so certainly Lafayette has a good team and a good program. And that's one of the tougher places that you'll play all year. Great atmosphere for baseball.
Yeah, it really is. We went over there for a weekend set a few years ago and then played over there on a Friday night, man. I talk about rocking and rolling. And now they got the new stadium, so it's even more extravagant. But I thought they did a really good job with their stadium of keeping it college baseball atmosphere.
Yeah,
they keep the fans on top of you. You know how the rowdy Cajuns are when they get a few cold ones in them. They like to yell and scream and hoot and holler and that kind of good stuff. So it'll be a fun environment to play in there Wednesday night. But, we've been in a few of those moments already. Obviously, we played in the box already this year, the game down at MGM where we played Mississippi State and had, 3,000, 3,500 fans that were maroon and white. So it'd be nice to get back in that venue, back in that setting. And they're playing a lot better here as of late. I know they took 2 out of 3 this past weekend with UTA. Scored a lot of runs in the midweek last week against Southern Miss. They split with Southern Miss, who's number, I think, 14 in the country or number 13 in the country. But they put some big runs there in the midweek, and I don't know if it's Southern Miss's pitching or if they just felt good about what they were doing offensively last week. But, we're very familiar with the opponent. And obviously, they're very familiar with us. Probably they have some things they want to come take out on us as well because, also we popped them there early and kind of made them not feel so good about themselves. Carlisle Kessler kept them tied up, pretty much that whole game there. That was kind of the coming out party for Carlisle Kessler for the year where he kind of set a tone of who he was going to be for the rest of the season. And so I'm sure there'll be some vengeance out there that they want to do. We don't know who they're starting yet from their standpoint. I know they're going Hogan Harris tomorrow against McNeese. They got a 5-game week as well. But we're going to go Corey Giacone. We'll run Corey out there against him to do his deal. Again, another situation where we need him to go deep in the ball game. It's not one of these where we need a short start. We got to get some really quality starts this week with this 5-game week with Jackson State, ULL, and Northwestern.
Couple of things media-wise regarding these first couple of games. On Tuesday night against Jackson State, home game. If you can't make it, obviously, we want you to make it. The home crowds have been outstanding this year at the Pat. The game is going to be televised by the Southeastern. I believe that will be live streamed. I'm looking at Damon. It will be live streamed. It'll be streamed only, but it will be streamed on the internet on the Southeastern channel. As always, you can listen to the radio, listen to Damon Sunday right there on the network. And then Wednesday night, the game is on Cox Sports Television and then on ESPN3. Now, I know we get a lot of people that say, it's on Cox, but I can't get it, and then ESPN3 is blocked out in my zone. I'll give you a little tip on how you can get around that. If you have it on your cell phone, just get it off of the
ESPN Watch.
Off of the not the Wi-Fi, off of just the signal. So if you have a good data package, you can watch the game and just roll right there. I do it every time on my cell phone as well. So that game will be played on Wednesday night. It's a 6:30 first pitch. I believe there was a little confusion. Some people thought it was at 6 o'clock. It's 6:30 on Wednesday night at Lafayette. All right, then, Matt, you're going to go on the weekend. You're going to take on Northwestern State on 13th, 14th, 15th up there and take on the Demons. They're 16-14 overall, a much improved team from a year ago.
Yeah, very much improved. Actually, a lot of the same guys there. Some in the lineup as far as what they're doing offensively. A couple new pieces, but on the mound, there's a few guys that have done well that have merged, and they've kind of mixed and matched their rotation, just kind of depending on who they've played. But definitely a much improved club. They've done a really good job with their schedule, non-conference wise as well. They've had some decent wins in there. I know they've beaten La Tech in a midweek game because I think that was the same night we beat LSU.
They did.
And then I know they played.
Nebraska.
They had A&M beat, in one of those midweek games as well, and kind of lost it there late. I think they were up by a few runs and lost late. Yeah, then they beat Nebraska. That was the other one. They had Nebraska in a weekend set. I think they only got one in because it snows in Nebraska in March. Just for you baseball fans who want to come south, don't play baseball in Nebraska in March. That's a bad idea. So I think they took one up there as well. So. It's a good club, man. They're playing well. They're feeling good about themselves. They took 2 out of 3 this past weekend. They finally got beat, I think, yesterday by Stephen F. Austin, like the 15th inning or something like that, something crazy, 6-5. But they're a team that we've got to continue to just do a good job with. So far to date, knock on wood, we've done a good job on the road of taking care of business. We went to Lamar in conference and swept. We went over to McNeese and took 2 out of 3 as well. So this will be another weekend for us to go on the road and take care of business. We finished this first half of the conference play at 11-4. If you just do numbers and say, hey, well, if you match what you did the second half, and then you'll be 22-8. We feel like that's not going to be good enough to win this conference. We'll be honest with you. So we feel like there's some weekends we're going to have to end up sweeping. And honestly, every game's going to be so vital down the stretch. We're a game and a half back at Sam. I know we'll talk about this in a little bit with the conference standings, but we're a game and a half back at Sam. Those guys are going to do a good job, and then they're getting a little bit more of the meat of their conference schedule.
They had a nick in the armor this weekend.
Nichols popped them one time and almost popped them twice. So they had another game there on the doubleheader. They lost 7-5. But so it's going to be a situation going up to Natchitoches. We go the day of. We've already done this twice this year with Lamar and with McNeese, and we've run into some issues there. But the guys have done a really good job of just, hey man, just tell me when, tell me where, tell me who. I don't really care. When the umpire says play ball, they'll go get after it. So we have to do that again this weekend because that's going to be a gritty club.
And again, we've mentioned this a couple of times on our show, but this is a week for RPI as well because you're going to play 4 out of the 5 on the road.
Yep.
And I think that that's one of the things where our fans are looking and maybe getting the RPI the way it's skewed right now because we played 22 games on the road. I mean at home. Mm-hmm. And last year it was the opposite. We played on the road a lot at the beginning of the year, but so that's why you're going to see this thing really kind of even out here over these next few weeks. I think over the next couple of weeks you'll see you'll get a better idea of what this thing's going to look like towards the end of the season. Yeah,
and what takes care of RPI is winning. You just keep winning, and then somehow or another the RPI continues to climb. So we've got to do a good job of just continue to take care of business, and that starts tomorrow night with Jackson State. Like we said, we can't look too far down the schedule and go, we play Sam Houston in May, and if we do this with Sam and Sam does it, we don't need to worry about Sam. We need to worry about us. And take care of our business until we get to Sam, and then we can worry about Sam. So this week will be a nice week, be a good week. Like you said, 4 out of the 5 on the road, but it'll start tomorrow night with finishing off this homestand with revenge against Jackson State.
Matt, you're 8-5 on the road or a neutral site, so you have a winning record on the road and an opportunity to juice that number up here a little bit with 4 big ones. Again, UL is always a tough place to play. They have a great facility. Again, that game's going to be televised on Cox Sports Television and then also on ESPN3 and then this weekend against Northwestern State. Let's go ahead and get to our final break. When we come back, we'll take questions and we will wrap it up here for the final 10 minutes on the Matt Reiser Radio Show presented by North Oak Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student athlete.
All right, welcome back. We have about 10 minutes to go here on our program. It's the Matt Reiser Radio Show as we've been talking Lion baseball throughout the night. We do this each and every Monday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. As always, Coach Reiser is active on social media, so if you want to follow Coach Reiser, you can follow him at Matt Reiser17. He retweeted a picture of us here tonight, and I am not asleep. My eyes are just closed. I blinked. When Colton Vickers took the picture, I blinked.
Timing.
It was bad timing, you know. But you know, we really enjoy doing this show. And come on by, have a steak, have something to drink, and listen to us as actually listen to Matt. You're not listening to me. As we'll be here every Monday night from 7 to 8 o'clock for the remainder of the season. Lions 24-11 overall, 11-4 in the Southland Conference. Took 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M Corpus Christi this past weekend. Also knocked off Alcorn State in the midweek. This week, busy week, 5 games. Tomorrow night at home, Jackson State. On Wednesday, the Lions will be on the road against UL Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns, Louisiana. And then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it is at Northwestern State and the Demons for another Southland Conference series. You mentioned earlier, Matt, we're going to talk a little bit about the Southland Conference standings. Right now, you're in second place, 11-4 overall, as Sam Houston State has played less games than us. They've only played 12 games, so right now they are 11-1 in the conference. So technically, what does that say? We're like a game and a half back, and it's all going to work itself out as all those teams. Remember, our weekend bye is the last weekend of the season.
We'll sit there and wait.
So we'll just sit there and wait on that last weekend of the series, but you know, right now. Some really good baseball being played in the conference, and you mentioned it. It's really kind of a weird standings when you look at it. That Corpus Christi team we just played, they're much better than their record, and I think they're certainly a team that, you know, they get in that conference tournament later in the year and can roll out Hernandez there in game one. That's what we always talk about, about changing the format of that conference tournament. But there's going to be some teams like that, you know, that are 6, 7, 8 that are much better than their record. They're going to get in there and give trouble to some of the teams at the top.
Yeah, and it's one of those things with Corpus. You got to remind yourself that, you know, they lost 5 of those games to us and Sam. You know, they went 1-5 against us. So, you know, as they get down further in the conference and teams that aren't, you know, traditionally the top of the conference will have more success with, or should have more success with, is if they continue to do what they did there on Sunday against us. But, yeah, it's going to be a tight race. It's going to come down to last weekend like it always does. It's never any different. It's always the same deal, whether you're fighting for the conference championship or you're fighting to get in or just fighting to get a little bit seeded higher. No reason to do it really now because still the same double elimination format. If we get that thing changed, I can promise you some people are going to be battling that last weekend. Won't be looking at banging and getting ready for the tournament. But anyways, it's going to be a tight race. One that's up there right now is Incarnate Word. And they've done a good job. Pat Harmark is the new head coach over there. Was the assistant at Rice when we played those guys in regional a few years ago. This is his first year, and he's doing a fantastic job of getting those guys off the right start. And they're not on the schedule. So that's one that's, I don't know, have no idea what their RPI is. That benefited us last year, not playing Incarnate Word or Abilene because they finished 12th and 13th in the conference, and both the RPIs were way down there, but Coach Hallmark has the Incarnate Word. The Cardinals from there are playing much, much better than what they have in years past. So it should be interesting. It'll be interesting to see as the year continues to progress. We're halfway there for us. Some guys will be halfway there after this weekend, and it'll be interesting to see how the thing shakes out.
Matt, I got a couple of texts during the week, and I've in weeks past too, and I've just never asked you. I haven't had time to get to it, but I've got a few minutes now. I can ask you now about in-season recruiting. What's your staff looking like? What's how's that going? I know you can't be specific, but talk about
busy. I tell you, it was nice to have. This is dead week. This is a dead period for us. We've got National Signing Day starts on Wednesday. We have one young man that we've committed that will sign on Wednesday that I can't announce anything yet on, but. There's a few other JC guys. We're always trying to add a piece here or there. You look at guys like that we signed last year. Kyle Schimpf we signed, I think, in March or April last year. Cody Gross we signed in April last year. Those were some big signs for us late in the ball game. Mike Taylor was late in the process. Bryce Steckler late in the process last year. You don't traditionally want to sign that many guys that late, but obviously those were all good players that were still available. And we had the spots to go and go get them. So we're working hard. Coach Gibbs is trying to figure out how to get some of these other guys down. He made a nice run last week. I made a nice run last week. I was on the road for 7 hours in one day to watch some JUCO stuff, doubleheader, and Coach Gibb had drove 14 hours one day to go see a kid in Northeast Texas and drove back. So hopefully we get a few more of these guys done. We're close. The offers are out. Obviously, it doesn't just end with this class. We're offering the other juniors, and I thought it was a really good weekend for us. We had a lot of recruits in this weekend on Friday and Sunday. We didn't really want to mess with Saturday with all the weather going on, but we felt like we had some really good recruits that were in that were players of the future, that junior class. We've got two commitments now. Again, I can't announce who they are because they're not signed, but we have gotten 2 commitments. We just recently got another commitment from a catcher up in North Louisiana. So the things are going well. I think the neat part about where we're having success right now, and that's where we're fighting to get these JUCO guys in to come see the campus and get them to a game, because our atmosphere, I'm going to tell you this, it's second to none. We've played at some pretty neat venues. We've played at the Box. We played down there at MGM. Obviously, we'll play at ULL Wednesday night, but we've played there before. I'll put our game day ops up against anybody in the country. I'll be real honest with you. I think that's what's having more and more fans come and interact. Yes, they're coming to see good baseball, and we're playing good clubs. That helps, and that's getting them excited. But we're seeing some non-traditional baseball people that, hey, man, baseball's kind of cool, but when also they come out and watch a game with good weather, the weather
there every time.
They come in and they love it. They just absolutely love the video board, the interactions that Colton Vickers and Miss Lindsay's doing and Miss Caitlin's doing. They're doing a fantastic job of just the interaction and game day promotion stuff. So you got to give those guys a round of applause as well, because I'm telling you, we're second to none in the country.
Hey, quick story for you. I was at a convention for work and met a couple of guys that were baseball coaches at San Diego State, and I told them, I told them my association with Southeastern baseball, and the first thing they said was, "Wait, that's that place with those lights." So I mean, it's nationwide. So I mean, it's becoming a little bit of a trendy deal there. Those lights, right, that we have here at Hammond.
It is, man. It's drawing these recruits in, and when we talked about it, facilities is part of it, but people who are having fun with their jobs and enjoy their jobs, enjoy what they're doing, like Colton and Lindsay and Caitlin, man, it makes this whole thing go, and it's been a nice interaction. So if we get some more of these JUCO guys in, I know we don't have a ton of home games left, but I'm sure that Southern Miss game next week is going to be a big one for us. As dead period will be lifted and we'll be back into contact period, we'll have a few of those guys in and hopefully get some of these guys done.
All right, just a couple of minutes left. Let's reset the show for you here tonight. All we've covered: Lions went 3-1 this past week, took 2-3 against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and also won against Alcorn in the midweek. This week, 5 games, 5 big ones. Tomorrow night at home against Jackson State, 6 o'clock first pitch. On Wednesday night at UL Lafayette, as the Lions will take on the Cajuns. That game will be televised on Cox Sports Television and ESPN3. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Natchitoches at Northwestern State. So 4 of the 5 on the road this week for your Lions. Matt, we have about a minute left. Your final thoughts of the night.
Yeah, again, just looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun stretch going down, and I'll put the RPI thing at rest for some people. We got some road games there in May, some really good ones that'll help, kind of get this thing going back in the right direction. I told you, don't look until game 40. Don't even think about looking until game 40 because there's no substance to it. So we're
that's
close.
After this week.
That's after this week.
35.
So when we look at next week, I got a feeling we take care of business this week. We'll probably be in that 100 range, somewhere in there, and then we'll be in striking distance. That's all I need. I just need us in striking distance where we can finish this thing strong because history's on our side. We finished up strong. We've had a few years we started out a little bit slower, but every year we continue to finish strong. So I don't think anything will be different for May. I do want to give a quick shout out to our pro guys. Opening day was last week, so real quick, Tate Ciano starting out in Double-A. Obviously Wade's with the Brewers. Kyle Keller got sent to High A ball. Andro had a really good report coming back on him. He's 92 to 95. Said if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a big leaguer, but he's in extended spring training, finishing off his rehab assignments. Carson Kreitz playing with some positions. He'll be in extended spring training. And Jameson Fisher got his first homer in Double-A baseball for the Birmingham Barons. So that was pretty cool. And obviously Max Scholar got assigned as well. So just good luck to those guys. Keep doing your thing, man. Keep making us proud.
All right, we're totally out of time. That's going to do it for us. That's the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Coach Matt Reiser. We'll see you next time on the Matt Reiser Radio Show, presented by Buddy's Bar and Grill and North Oaks Health System on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
That's pretty good. You've been listening to the Matt Reiser Radio Show on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. The Matt Reiser Radio Show is a product of Lion Sport Properties. More information on how you can support future broadcasts is available through Lion Sport Properties at area code 985-549-2570.